Step into the abyss and welcome to Weird Encounters, a place where the ordinary fades into shadow and the unexplainable comes alive. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and join our ever-growing community of the curious. Your support is the lifeblood that keeps this channel alive. Now, prepare yourself, for what you're about to witness is not for the faint of heart. The story you're about to hear isn't just another campfire tale meant to spook you before bedtime. No, this one's different. It's darker. It's real. At least that's what the man who lived it will tell you. So sit back, turn down the lights, and listen closely. Because once you hear what happened that night, you'll never walk through the woods the same way again. The woods were still. Not peaceful, but unnervingly quiet. It was the kind of quiet that claws under your skin, makes your instincts scream that something's wrong. Not even an owl's distant call or a small critter's rustle disturbed it. Just nothing. Jake and I were experienced hunters. We'd been tracking deer through Iron Hollow's dense forest for hours. Our boots crunched softly on the damp leaves, our breaths fogging in the cold pre-dawn air. The sun hadn't broken the horizon yet, the world steeped in shadow, every tree trunk a potential hiding place. "This place feels off," Jake muttered, adjusting his rifle. His voice was low, barely a breath. "Yeah, I'm feeling it too," I replied, scanning the undergrowth. "Just stay sharp." We moved deeper, the faint glow of sunrise slowly brushing the treetops with pale blue light. We'd hunted Iron Hollow plenty of times, but this night felt different. The quiet wasn't natural. It was the kind that comes when every living thing knows something dangerous is near. We reached a small clearing, the frost-covered grass glinting in the pale moonlight. I raised a hand to stop Jake. "Hold up," I whispered, crouching low. Jake followed, his breath shallow, eyes darting around. That's when we saw it. At first it was just a shadow, large, broad-shouldered, too big for a deer. It moved at the clearing's edge, partially hidden by the trees. I squinted, trying to make sense of it. "You see that?" I whispered. "Yeah," Jake breathed, his grip tightening on his rifle. "What the hell is it?" The figure stepped into the clearing and we both froze. It wasn't a deer. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't anything we'd ever seen. Towering at least 7 feet tall, it walked upright like a man, but with a beast's frame. Its arms hung low, hands tipped with long, gnarled claws. Thick, matted fur clung to its muscular body, wet and dark with something that glistened in the pale light. Blood. Fresh blood. It dripped from its snout, its sharp, jagged teeth stained red. Jake's breath hitched, his eyes wide. "Oh God, Sam, what is that?" he whispered, terror in his voice. "Don't move," I hissed, my heart pounding so hard I feared the creature could hear it. "Just stay still." The creature's head jerked toward us. 2 glowing amber eyes locked onto ours. It sniffed the air, long ears twitching as it tilted its head slowly, almost curiously. Then it grinned. A low, guttural rumble echoed from its chest, not quite a growl, but something worse. It took a step toward us, its claws flexing, cutting the air with a soft wisp sound. My breath caught in my throat, my fingers twitching toward my rifle. Jake's lips moved in silent prayer, his eyes never leaving the beast. "Run," I whispered through gritted teeth. "What?" Jake's eyes darted to me. "Run," I said louder, my eyes locked on the creature as I slowly unslung my rifle. "Now!" The beast's grin widened, its lips pulling back to reveal rows of needle-like teeth. It was like it understood. "Go!" I roared, raising the rifle and firing. The gunshot shattered the silence, and Jake didn't need to be told twice. He bolted for the trees, heart pounding. I backed away, keeping the barrel aimed at the creature. It barely flinched, its eyes still locked on me, its grin unchanging. "Come on," I growled, my finger on the trigger. "Come on." The beast's chest rose and fell with slow, deliberate breaths. Then it spoke. "Run," it said, its voice a wet, garbled snarl, like something forcing human words through an animal's throat. My blood turned to ice. I stumbled back, eyes wide with shock and terror. My legs finally obeyed and I spun, running full sprint into the forest. Branches whipped at my face and arms, but I didn't stop. Jake's frantic footsteps thundered ahead, and I pushed myself to catch up. Behind us, the sound of snapping branches and heavy thudding footsteps echoed. "It's following us!" Jake yelled, his voice strained. "Don't stop!" I shouted back, my lungs burning. "Don't you dare stop!" The pursuit was deafening. It wasn't charging. It was chasing us like a predator, a game of patience. Every step felt calculated, every snap of a branch a promise that it was still there, still coming. Our truck was less than a quarter-mile away, but every step felt like running through quicksand. Jake's breath came in wheezing gasps, but he didn't slow. I glanced back once and instantly regretted it. It was closer. Its eyes locked with mine, and for a moment, I thought I saw amusement there. We broke through the edge of the woods, our truck just ahead. Jake reached it first, yanking the door open and diving inside. My boots hit the gravel, and I threw myself into the driver's seat, slamming the door shut just as something heavy crashed into the side of the truck with a deep, resonant bang! The entire vehicle rocked. "Go! Go!" Jake screamed, pounding his fists on the dashboard. I didn't wait. I twisted the key, the engine roared, and the tires spun before catching traction. The truck lurched forward, fishtailing down the dirt road. Behind us, the beast stood at the tree line, watching, its glowing eyes two fiery embers. We drove for miles, neither of us speaking, our breaths heaving, eyes wild. It wasn't until we reached the main road that Jake finally broke the silence. "What was that, Sam?" His voice was hollow, his eyes distant. My hands gripped the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I glanced at Jake, then back to the road. "I don't know," I said quietly, my eyes darting to the tree line passing by. "But it's still out there. What was this thing?" What do you think? Have you ever experienced something so bizarre, so unexplainable, that it left you questioning reality itself? We want to hear your stories. If you've had a similar sighting or encounter, tell me your story in the comments section below. I'm truly interested in hearing your accounts. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more incredible and unsettling stories. This next story comes from Portland, Maine, a city known for its vibrant art scene and historic waterfront. It's a story that sounds more like a scene from a late-night horror film than an ordinary Friday night. A story of strange sounds, a dark alley, and an encounter that has left a group of friends deeply disturbed. I have something absolutely terrifying to share. This happened about 3 months ago behind my apartment building in downtown Portland, Maine. I had a few friends over on a Friday night, and we were hanging out on the small concrete patio, having a disc golf competition. It was around 10 p.m., and we'd been putting for a couple of hours, having a few beers, when we started hearing this really bizarre noise coming from the alleyway behind the building. We were playing under the dim glow of the patio string lights, so it wasn't exactly bright out. Now, I'm a pretty avid birdwatcher, and so are a couple of my friends, and we all heard this noise, and no one could place it. I don't even know how to describe it, but imagine a seagull mixed with a howler monkey. I know that sounds insane, but that's the closest I can get. It didn't make any sense, and we all felt the same way, but we kept hearing it. My friend Sarah thought it would be a good idea to go check out the alley and see if we could find what was making the sound. There were 3 of us who decided to go look, and I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. We cautiously made our way down the rickety metal stairs to the alley. When we were on the patio, it sounded like this thing was maybe 20 to 30 feet away, as best as I could tell. We were in the alleyway, right where I thought it was coming from, and now the sound seemed even further away, echoing off the brick walls. So, we went further into the alley, and the sound was moving, like it was either trying to get away or trying to lure us into a trap. Well, it was definitely the latter, because what happened next is why we don't practice disc golf on the patio anymore. My friend Ben suddenly whispered, "Hey, look over there." We saw this thing. I don't know what else to call it. This grayish, almost translucent creature perched on top of a dumpster, with these long, spindly fingers gripping the edge like it was clinging for dear life. As soon as Ben whispered, this thing unfolded itself from the dumpster and started making these chilling, high-pitched shrieks that seemed to vibrate through the entire alley. It had this small, almost reptilian head and large black eyes that reflected the dim light. Its mouth looked like it was filled with rows of needle-sharp teeth. It looked like it could shred through thick fabric or even skin if it got a hold of it. Its skin looked almost wet and slimy. Just thinking about it makes my stomach churn. It was pretty small, maybe 3 feet tall, but it moved with an unnerving quickness. My friend Lisa, who always carries pepper spray, thank goodness, pulled it out and sprayed it in the creature's direction. It recoiled as soon as she aimed it. It moved so fast, like it could anticipate what was going to happen before it occurred. That was the last we saw of it. It just vanished into the shadows of the alley after Lisa sprayed it. Honestly, I'm at a loss for what to do. I didn't report anything to the police because I wouldn't even know what to say. We go to Ben's apartment now for disc golf, and we all keep our guard up. I've since started looking for another place. I don't want to live where this thing was lurking in the alley. What on God's green earth could this have been? My friends think it might have escaped from some research lab near the waterfront. There's this old unmarked building down by the docks that no one really knows what goes on there. It's all fenced in and heavily guarded. We didn't even know it existed until someone pointed it out to me on Google Maps. I don't know if they're conducting some crazy genetic experiments down there or if this thing came from somewhere else entirely. But one thing is for sure, I never want to encounter it again. Our next witness, a seasoned park ranger with years of experience patrolling these wild lands, was conducting a routine overnight patrol. They were accustomed to the sights and sounds of the forest at night. The rustling of leaves, the calls of nocturnal animals, the quiet whisper of the wind through the trees. But on this particular night, something was different. Something unsettling. What began as a typical patrol soon turned into an encounter that would challenge everything this ranger thought they knew about the natural world. A sighting so strange, so inexplicable, that they have carried it with them ever since. This is a story of a lone witness, a silent forest, and an experience that defies easy categorization. Was it a rare animal, a misidentification, or something far more enigmatic? We'll hear the details directly from the ranger themselves, albeit with certain precautions to protect their identity. This is a story you won't soon forget.
I've been a park ranger for over 15 years, and I've seen just about everything nature has to offer. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for what I saw that night. It's taken me a long time to even put this into words because, frankly, I'm not sure anyone would believe me. Worse yet, I'm not sure what it would do to my career if they did. It was late October, just past midnight, and I was doing a routine patrol near the north edge of the preserve. The air was crisp, and the forest was unnervingly quiet. Not even the usual chirp of crickets or rustle of small animals. My flashlight beam cut through the fog, and that's when I saw it. About 30 yards ahead, something was crouched low near the tree line. At first I thought it might be a large dog or maybe a coyote, but then it stood up. It wasn't a dog, it wasn't a coyote. This thing was huge, easily 6.5 feet tall, maybe more. It had the body of a man but was covered in dark, matted fur. Its arms were too long for its body, and its hands, yes, hands, had long, curved claws. The head was what truly terrified me. It was shaped like a wolf's, with pointed ears and a long snout. But the eyes, those eyes glowed a dull amber, and I swear they locked onto me the moment it realized I was there. I'm not ashamed to admit I froze. My mind screamed at me to run, but my body wouldn't listen. We stared at each other for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a few seconds. Then, with a speed that defied logic, it dropped to all fours and sprinted into the woods. I've seen wolves run before, I've seen bears charge. This was something different. It moved like it didn't belong to this world. I'd like to chalk it up to exhaustion or a trick of the light, but I've gone over that moment 100 times in my head. I know what I saw. There's been talk among the rangers about strange activity near the restricted areas of the forest. Government vehicles come and go, and sometimes you'll see black helicopters with no markings hovering for hours. They've fenced off certain areas and told us to keep clear for our own safety. Nobody asks questions because everyone's afraid of getting reassigned or worse. Some of the older rangers joke about secret labs hidden in the hills, but after what I saw, I'm not laughing anymore. There's an old story one of the locals told me about mutants, creatures created in secret experiments gone wrong. I'd always brushed it off as wild campfire talk. But after that night, I'm not so sure. If those stories are even half true, then maybe what I saw wasn't just some cryptid out of folklore. Maybe it's something man-made, something that's not supposed to exist, but somehow does. I've kept my mouth shut about it until now. A ranger's reputation is everything, and I'm not about to be labeled as the guy who saw Bigfoot's cousin. But if these things are out there, and I'm telling you they are, people deserve to know. I'm still afraid of what might happen if I'm found out, but I'd rather face that than keep quiet while something like that prowls the woods.
My dear watchers, your presence is a gift. Thank you for your time, your curiosity, your courage. But remember, there are others who wander, unaware of the dangers that await. By liking this video and subscribing, you offer them a light in the darkness. Support our channel and keep the stories coming, simply by giving a thumbs up and subscribing and sharing.